Villains from Dark Souls are interesting because it's a game series that rarely has instances of predictable and traditional good versus evil. The characters that inhabit this world are complex and flawed, often with intentions that are not completely clear from our player perspective. However, some of these few openly do sinister things for selfish gain or sometimes simply out of necessity or desperation. Welcome back to the Villainpedia, y'all. The one character I want to focus on this video is Knight Lautrec from the first Dark Souls game. He's actually not a main villain or even a boss, but a fascinating NPC and sort of side villain that you're going to have to encounter and deal with in one way or another. But before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to see more videos that are just like this in the future.
Our futures are murky. Let's not be too friendly now.
So, a few key terms for this Villainpedia entry so everyone can follow along. Number 1 is hollow. In Dark Souls lore, all characters here in Lautrec, including the player character, are burdened by undeath and the grim prospect of going hollow. This essentially means losing who you are, losing your humanity, and becoming a sort of zombie, a mindless husk. Everyone is essentially desperately fighting off going hollow by holding on to humanity and some sort of purpose. Number 2, Firekeeper. So the bonfires of Dark Souls are iconic spots of rest and pause, a place for the player to chill out, refill his Gatorade, and set their spawn point. Certain bonfires are kept alight by firekeepers, one of which, Anastasia, is caged and maimed beneath the Firelink Shrine bonfire. Number 3 is Phantom, a huge gameplay mechanic of the Souls games. Phantoms are visitors to your world, often players. Some are summoned by you for assistance, and some are coming into your kitchen to try to beat yo ass. Sometimes you will be a phantom in another world to take on a task as well. I often think of the world of Lautrec as a desert. Not literally, of course, but that everyone here who is still holding on to life and to their humanity seems to barely be doing so. Everyone is essentially dying of thirst, but they need that humanity instead of some water. And if it's water or this abstract idea of humanity, desperation often leads to strange behavior. Sometimes violence, deception, disillusion, etc. Lautrec is one that to me is quite clearly sinister, violent, and definitely not trustworthy at all. We first encounter him locked in a cell in the Undead Parish, most likely locked up by the Chandler in the previous area, or perhaps even Oswald, another nearby NPC who speaks of purging sin. When I personally first saw Lautrec back in my first playthrough, I thought his appearance was just awesome, dude. Truly one of the coolest suits of armor I had ever seen in video game. It looks heroic, it's golden and regal with these arms that resemble an embrace all around it. I was certain that he would be a strong ally, a caged hero that would be happy to make a friend in me. Then I heard this fool's voice.
I am Knight Lautrec of Karim. I truly appreciate this, and I guarantee a reward. Only later.
Yeah, hell no. This dude is a wolf in sheep's clothing 1000%. Or maybe more like a snake wearing a Gucci slide. He immediately is meant to put the player off as a possible threat. Though I myself, I went along and freed him from his cell, of course. However, even if we don't free Lautrec, he will get himself out and be seen later on in Firelink Shrine regardless. In the church nearby, we see the corpse of a firekeeper, with their soul there just lying out for the taking. Perhaps this was Lautrec's act that had him imprisoned. Or maybe even he was imprisoned by choice, as if it was the Channeler, maybe he would bring any prisoners back to the Duke's archives, and Lautrec does mention having some business to handle up above. If we do free him though, he offers his services on the nearby gargoyle boss fight as a summon to help out. So maybe he's not so bad after all? Nah, he is. When we next see Lautrec, he's relaxing at Firelink Shrine, sitting in front of the Firekeeper's cage beneath the bonfire. Extremely menacing thing to be doing, just sitting there staring at this poor blind woman in a cage. And this is ultimately his prey. So let's slow down for 1 second and talk about Lautrec's armor. It's known as the Favor Set in-game, along with his famous FAP ring, or Ring of Favor and Protection. The item description for his armor reads, Apparel of Lautrec the Embraced, representing the goddess Fina's love. During his solitude, he forsook everything, for he believed in the goddess's love for him. The goddess's arms wrap around it as if to embrace the wearer. Important to remember, too, that Lautrec is no local. Like many NPCs, he has come from far away to be here in Lautrec, and in Lautrec's case, he hails from Karim. Fina, this goddess of love and beauty that Lautrec is fiercely devoted to and kind of obsessed with. Even now, years later, I have no clue who the hell Fina is. There are some theories that Kareem's Fina is Guinevere, a different name for the same sort of deity. This holds some possibility actually, as later on we find Lautrec outside of her chamber, but who knows for sure. I also always thought the arms embracing him on the chest piece sort of resemble a straitjacket. Maybe that's just me, but fitting, as this man is a straight-up psycho, perhaps lost in his devotion to this goddess who doesn't love him back, but any purpose keeps you from going hollow, I suppose. But back to where we found Lautrec sitting in Firelink. When you approach him, if you helped free him, he will give you a sunlight medal. Very curious thing. He's not a member of the Sunbro Covenant and appears to be a normal phantom opposed to a golden one if you use him in the Bell Gargoyle fight, so it's a puzzling thing to be given for sure. The Warriors of Sunlight are a covenant of jolly cooperators that enjoy helping each other through hardship in Lordran. You may know one of its members, Solaire. It's a covenant that the player can join, and it's a great representation of the good side of player interactions you're going to have online, but we'll come back to that later. So Lautrec hangs out in Firelink Shrine for a while, staring at Anastasia like he's Hannibal Lecter. It's clear that he's interested in eliminating her, but for what purpose? Well, I'm sorry, dudes, but this is Dark Souls, so nobody knows anything for certain. Everything is speculation here, but let's cover a few intriguing options to me. First off is that Lautrec is simply doing this for the power of her soul, something he covets for his own keeping. He actually speaks about humanity more than anything else in conversations with the player, so he seems terrified of going hollow. Not so exciting, but definitely possible. Second is something to do with the fact that Anastasia has had her tongue removed. She can't speak to us at all, apparently for some act of blasphemy. Maybe she was talking smack about his goddess Fina, and Lautrec can't allow that to fly, so with little else to do, he came over here hunting down Firekeepers, looking for her. Third is a bit of a Hail Mary, but maybe it's that Lautrec isn't a villain at all. This is getting a little deeper into Dark Souls lore and speculation, but maybe he's part of some faction that's trying to snuff out all of the bonfires, bringing an end to the Age of Fire to stop this cycle of undeath that has just ravaged humanity. Again, who knows, dude? I personally like to just keep it simpler and say that he is just insane. He's killing Firekeepers for their souls because some people kind of just want to watch the world burn. But the fun part is there's no right or wrong answers here. But at any rate, losing the Firekeeper will render that main Firelink hub bonfire useless, so that's not going to be good for us. So to this point, if you've kept him alive sitting there and complete your early game mission of ringing the 2 bells of awakening, Lautrec will finally act while you are away and kill Anastasia in her cage. Interestingly though, this will also happen if you loot the Firekeeper souls in the Undead Parish and Blight Town, furthering my theory that he's just insane about acquiring these poor ladies' souls. When you check out Anastasia's cage, she's dead as hell and we find the Black Eye Orb. This is not the last we see of old Lautrec, and this orb is going to be key. He can actually be summoned a second time for the Gaping Dragon fight in the depths, and this is the second instance where we can summon both Lautrec and Solaire. So I want to touch quickly on the importance of these 2 characters, and how their contrast is key to introducing players to a huge part of the Dark Souls experience. In my opinion, these 2 goofs are 2 sides of the very same coin. They represent the different sorts of players that you may encounter and work with or against in Dark Souls. These games have always encouraged cooperation and teamwork to overcome hard-ass bosses or tough stretches of an area, but mischief is also heavily encouraged. Everything from leaving misleading messages, invading players in an area that's particularly tough even without any interference in the first place, and so on. YouTube is full of Dark Souls shenanigans, I don't have to tell you. These 2 are some of the first characters to make a real impact and offer to help us, but they of course have very different motives and personalities. Solaire deserves his own video someday, believe that, but I truly believe Lautrec is meant to represent deceit and malicious presences that we may encounter during our time with the game. He is the sinner. He even ganks you 1v3 later on like a true scumbag. So, we have our Black Eye Orb and you struggle through the game until all of a sudden, perhaps when we've forgotten that we even have it at all, your phone vibrates and it's Lautrec. This is our opportunity to actually invade his world as a phantom and see what the deal is. So after dealing with him and his cronies, he drops the Firekeeper soul that he took from Anastasia. We can then bring it back to Firelink and restore her. And suddenly, she can now speak, mentioning again how she hopes her impure tongue doesn't offend, so maybe something to that theory after all. It also seems to me that there has to be some sort of link with Guinevere, Fina, and Orlando in general. I mean, he mentions this business up above, and it eventually is chilling, setting up shop right outside of her chambers. And when Lautrec is gone, you can find his armor right nearby in Orlando to keep for yourself, so you can be swagged out for all eternity. But his motives are what have kept the Dark Souls community spinning its tires for years. Everything about Lautrec, his voice, his appearance, crazy show-tell weapons, devotion to this goddess of beauty that doesn't seem to reciprocate, make him just a really fascinating presence in the game, and a really fun wild card to deal the player. Lautrec is essentially just a minor bump in the road in Dark Souls, but has remained one of the more memorable NPCs in the series. It's so easy to go down the rabbit hole with Dark Souls lore and start spewing kind of insane theories, but for today, let's just leave it at that. I want to thank everyone for the recent support on this channel. I think I doubled my total subscribers in the past week or so, and especially on that Dagoth video, the response has been super positive. So thank you. Thank you so much for watching, you guys, and until next time, peace.
You again. What is it